A great egret stands in 6 inches of black water, snow white, motionless, and less than an arm's length from its legs, the surface breaks. An 800-pound American alligator is hunting. The bird does not fly. It does not even turn its head. It steps closer. In the next few minutes, you'll find out why that is the smartest move it could make. Everything you know about prey animals says this is impossible. A small animal near an apex predator should freeze, flee, or die. Instead, dozens of birds crowd an active alligator on purpose. Herons, ibises, wood storks. They press in tight around a mouth built to crush bone, and the alligator almost never takes them. This is not luck. It is not tameness. It is an arrangement, a functioning ecological contract with terms, with benefits, and with a price that gets paid in blood every single nesting season. By the end of this, you'll know exactly what those birds are handing over, and you'll understand why they consider it a bargain. Set the scene. South Florida, the Everglades, a sheet of shallow water spread across a landscape of sawgrass and hardwood islands. In the dry season, that water pulls back. It concentrates into shrinking pools, and everything alive in that system is forced into the same few square feet of mud. Predator and prey, compressed together. Above one of those pools stands a stand of trees. In the branches, a rookery, hundreds of nests packed together, white plumage everywhere, chicks screaming for food from before sunrise. And directly below those branches, in the water, the alligators, not passing through, living there, permanently stationed under the nests. Notice something about that arrangement. Those birds chose that tree. They had thousands of acres of wetland to nest in. Trees over clean water, trees over open marsh, trees over ground with no reptiles at all. They picked the one surrounded by alligators. Deliberately, colony after colony, generation after generation. So the real question is not why the alligator holds back. It's why the birds moved in. Because you don't build a nursery on top of a predator unless the predator is solving a problem worse than itself. And in the swamp, there is a threat these birds fear far more than an alligator. It has fur. Raccoons. That's the answer nobody expects. A raccoon can climb any tree in that swamp. It can find a nest in total darkness. It can eat an entire clutch of eggs in one night and come back the next. Add opossums. Add rat snakes. These are the animals that erase bird colonies. Quietly. Completely. And here is the flaw in the raccoon's design. It has to walk. To reach that tree island, it has to cross open water. Shallow, warm, dark water. Water occupied by animals that have spent millions of years perfecting the ambush of things that swim badly. A raccoon in a gator pond is not a predator anymore. It's a meal. So look at what the birds actually built. Not a nest in a tree. A castle with a moat, and the moat is stocked. Every alligator lying in that water is a patrol unit. It doesn't guard the nests on purpose. It doesn't know the nests exist as something to protect. It just eats whatever mammal tries to wade across, and the effect is measurable. Where wading birds nest over alligator-occupied water, nest survival goes up. Where the water dries out and the alligators leave, the raccoons walk in and the colony collapses. The birds are not being sentimental. They're outsourcing security to the most efficient predator in the ecosystem. But no security force works for nothing. And this is the part of the story that changes how you see those white feathers in the trees. Because the alligators lying beneath that rookery are not just tolerating the noise above them. They are being paid, continuously, in a currency that falls from the branches. A rookery is chaos. Nests overcrowded. Siblings fighting for space and food. Chicks half-grown, unsteady, jammed onto platforms of sticks 20 feet in the air. Some are pushed out by stronger siblings. Some simply lose their grip. Eggs roll. Dead nestlings get shoved over the edge. And everything that leaves that nest goes down. It falls into the water. Directly into it. The alligators below don't chase. They don't stalk. They don't expend a single calorie hunting. They lie in position and wait for protein to arrive from above. A steady drip of it all day for the length of the entire nesting season. And this is documented science, not folklore. Ecologists at the University of Florida, including work led by Dr. Lucas Nell, examined alligators living near active wading bird colonies. They compared them to alligators in similar habitat without rookeries overhead. The difference showed up in the animals' bodies, clearly enough to measure. The alligators under the nests were in better condition, heavier for their length, healthier, better fed. That's what a reliable food subsidy does to a cold-blooded predator that can go weeks between meals. The rookery isn't a nuisance above their heads. It's a feeding station that runs on a schedule. So now you can see the actual terms. The birds get a defensive perimeter no raccoon can breach. The alligators get free protein delivered vertically, and the payment method is the bird's own offspring, chicks for protection. That is the exchange. Written by nature, signed by nobody, and honored season after season. Sit with how brutal that is. A parent bird is effectively surrendering some of its young to keep the rest alive. And in the arithmetic of the swamp, it works. Lose a few chicks to the water below, or lose the entire colony to a raccoon that finds the tree. The math isn't close. And be careful here. There's no evidence the birds understand any of this. They aren't calculating a tribute. Evolution doesn't require awareness. It only requires that the colonies which nested over alligators left behind more descendants than the ones that didn't. Over enough generations, that's all it takes. Instinct that looks like strategy. But the arrangement doesn't end at the nest, because during the day, something else happens, something stranger and far more dangerous. The alligator gets up. It starts moving through the shallows to hunt, and instead of scattering, the birds do the opposite. They follow it, closely, and this is where the swarm begins. Picture it. The gator begins to push through knee-deep water thick with vegetation, and within seconds, birds converge, egrets landing on either side, herons stalking the wake, ibises probing the churned mud, a wall of white feathers, squawking, wings snapping open, all of it pressed against a moving predator. Some of them are close enough to touch it, and the noise is the strangest part. Deafening, harsh, grating calls layered over each other, wings beating, water splashing, total commotion above the surface, and underneath all of it, silence. The alligator makes no sound at all. It moves like a submerged log with a purpose. Two completely different worlds, occupying the same 3 feet of water. So why follow a hunting predator? Because of what its body does to the water. An alligator that size doesn't slip through vegetation. It plows. It displaces. Every step and every tail sweep pushes through mats of plants that have been hiding thousands of small animals from the sky all morning. Fish scatter. Frogs bolt for open water. Crayfish break cover. Small snakes abandon their hiding spots. Everything that was invisible 1 second ago is suddenly exposed, moving and panicking in shallow water. For a bird that hunts by sight and strikes with a spear-shaped bill, that is the best moment of the entire day. Hunters have a name for this: a beater. Something that walks ahead of you through cover and drives the game out into the open. The alligator is a beater that weighs as much as a motorcycle. It has no idea it's working for anyone. It generates the chaos. The birds harvest the edges of it. Biologists call this commensal foraging. One animal benefits from the activity of another without helping or harming it. It shows up all over the world. Egrets working the legs of grazing cattle. Birds trailing plows and harvesters. Same principle every time. Disturbance creates opportunity. Something has learned to wait at the edge of it. And here's where honesty matters. Whether the birds deliberately target hunting alligators to exploit them, or simply react opportunistically whenever water gets disturbed, is still debated among ornithologists. The benefit is real and observable. The intent behind it is not settled. Anyone who tells you the birds have a plan is going past the evidence. Either way, one detail is undeniable. The birds are not afraid. Watch footage of this and look for alarm. Look for the sudden freeze, the head snap, the panicked liftoff. It isn't there. They step around the gator like it's furniture, standing inches from a jaw that could take a leg off instantly. And that brings us to the center of everything. Why doesn't the alligator turn? It has the reflexes. It has the reach. Half the birds are within striking distance. The answer is not restraint. It is not mercy. It is a cost calculation running inside a cold-blooded body that cannot afford to waste energy. Look at what an egret represents as prey. It stands on stilts, in water, facing outward, with a full field of view. It weighs a couple of pounds, and most of that is feather and hollow bone. And the instant a gator lunges, it is airborne. A miss costs the alligator an explosive burst of energy for nothing. Now compare the alternative. Beneath the surface, in that same moment, the water is full of fish driven into the open by the alligator's own movement. Submerged, slower, unable to escape upward. More meat per strike, at a fraction of the effort, with a far higher chance of connecting. So the alligator does what any efficient predator does. It ranks its targets. Large submerged prey, first. Anything with wings, last. Not because birds are protected, because birds are a bad investment. Every second spent snapping at feathers is a second not spent eating something that can't fly away. There's a third option on that list, and it's the one that ends the argument. The alligator doesn't need to catch a bird at all. It can lie under the rookery and wait for one to fall in. Same species, same meat, zero effort, zero risk. Why hunt what gravity delivers? Which produces one of the strangest inversions in the wild. The birds are safest when the alligator is busiest. A feeding gator is committed, distracted, locked onto larger prey below the surface. The danger isn't the animal thrashing in the shallows. The danger is the one lying perfectly still, doing nothing at all. And the birds appear to know the difference. Habituation plays a role. They live above these animals their entire lives. They see thousands of strikes. And over time, colonies develop a working sense of which behaviors matter. Active gator, approach. Motionless gator, keep your distance. That's risk assessment, built into a bird. But nobody should mistake this for safety. Wading birds do get taken by alligators. It is recorded. It happens. Usually to the young, the injured, the ones that misjudge distance or land in the wrong place at the wrong moment. The contract has no clause protecting individuals, only the arrangement as a whole. And the arrangement is fragile. It depends entirely on water. In the Everglades, water level is everything. When drought pulls the water back too far, the pools under the rookeries dry. The alligators withdraw to deeper refuges, and the moat that kept the colony alive simply stops existing. Then the raccoons come. They walk across ground that was open water weeks earlier. They climb the trees. They find nests full of eggs and helpless nestlings, and no defense at all. Entire colonies fail in a season, not because of the alligators, because of their absence. And the alligators lose too. No chicks falling means no free protein. Body condition drops. The animals that were heaviest and healthiest in the system slide back to ordinary. Two species, standing on opposite sides of a lethal exchange, and both of them collapse when the water level drops, bound together by something neither one chose. And this is not a rare curiosity. It is a structural feature of one of the largest wetlands in North America. Thousands of nests, hundreds of alligators, a transfer of energy from the treetops into the water that has been running for as long as both species have shared this landscape. We tend to look at a swamp and see a war, predators against prey, winners against losers. But what's actually happening under that rookery is trade. Ugly, unspoken, involuntary trade. The alligator is a bodyguard that eats part of the family. The birds are tenants who pay an offspring, and nobody negotiated. That's the detail worth remembering. There was no moment when the two species arrived at terms. The system built itself out of failure. The colonies that nested in safer-looking trees were destroyed by mammals. The ones that nested over monsters survived. What we call cooperation is only the wreckage of everything that didn't work. So go back to that first image. The egret standing inches from a hunting alligator, calm, unbothered, stepping toward the disturbance instead of away. It isn't brave. It isn't foolish. It is standing exactly where the numbers tell it to stand, in the safest, dangerous place in the entire swamp. And directly above it, in the branches, is its nest, full of chicks, some of which will not survive the season, some of which will end up in the water below, in the jaws of the same animal that is keeping the rest of them alive. The bird will feed them anyway, every morning, which leaves one uncomfortable thought. Every peaceful scene in nature is peaceful for a reason, not because anything has been forgiven. Because for now, violence isn't the profitable option. The gator waits, the birds forage, and the whole quiet arrangement holds only as long as the water stays high enough to enforce it. So the next time you see white birds crowding a swamp, understand what you're looking at. Not coexistence, a payment plan. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because next we go into the water itself, into the alligator's death roll, and what it does to a body that no other predator on this continent can replicate.